My name is Evelyn Parks, and I'm 33 years old. I work as a night shift nurse in a small upstate hospital, the kind of place where people remember your coffee order before your name. I come from a family that measures worth in control and silence, and I've never been good at either. My mother, Marissa, believes appearances are currency, and my younger brother, Caleb, was always the investment she bet everything on. I was the daughter who held the house together, not by smiling in photos, but by quietly paying off a $680,000 mortgage 1 month at a time. Still, when the debt was finally gone, they didn't throw me a party. They threw me a meeting. One that would change everything I thought I knew about home, blood, and the price of staying quiet. What I didn't know then was that my mother wasn't planning to thank me. She was planning to erase me. The text came in at 5:12 a.m. I was just finishing a double shift, my scrub still damp near the collar from someone else's sweat, someone else's panic. Come to the house tonight. We need a family meeting. I know you paid off the mortgage. No punctuation, no warmth, just a statement, just a summons. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred, then tapped back. No reply. The wind outside howled like a warning. By 6:03 p.m., I was pulling into the cracked driveway of the Parks home. 2 porch lights flickered like dying stars. The front door was already open. Inside, Caleb, Marissa, and a woman I didn't recognize, mid-30s, business suit, silver tablet. Eyes too still. Marissa didn't stand, didn't smile. Sit, she said. This won't take long. Caleb didn't look up. He kept rubbing the edge of a paper napkin, rolling it into tighter coils. The silver-haired woman turned her screen toward me. Her voice was glassy. We're initiating a refinance. The property will be restructured under a fresh loan, with your brother as the primary beneficiary. For tax purposes, of course. I blinked. What? You'll need to sign off, Marissa added. We can't do it without your release. They weren't asking. They were moving. I leaned forward. I already paid off the mortgage. Yes, she said simply. And now we need you to let go. They slid a document across the coffee table. I saw my name printed. Neatly. Repeatedly. It looked official. Like I'd already agreed. Except I hadn't. Why now? Marissa exhaled through her nose. It's time Caleb had a place of his own. He's starting a business. He needs equity. You understand. A beat. Caleb's knuckles whitened around the napkin. You told me the house would stay in the family, I said. And it will, she snapped. Just not under your name. The woman with the tablet interrupted. The title can be transferred tonight. You're the last barrier, Evelyn. The last barrier. Like I was a legal speed bump. My mouth went dry. I looked to Caleb. He didn't speak. His silence felt rehearsed. Marissa leaned back in the chair. Don't make this difficult. Her tone made my skin crawl, like she'd practiced this conversation dozens of times. And then I noticed something. The drawer in the sideboard was ajar. That drawer used to hold Dad's legal folder. The trust folder. It wasn't there. Where are the trust documents? Marissa didn't blink. That's irrelevant now. I stood. My pulse was louder than the clock on the wall. You forged something. No, Evelyn. She stood too, her voice calm. We completed the paperwork. That was not the same thing. Outside, the wind bit like razors. I walked out without looking back. The house I paid for had felt cold before. Tonight it felt alien. Someone once told me, they only call it a family meeting when they already made the decision without you. I pulled open the car door, slid inside. My hands were shaking. Then I looked up. There was a red blinking light in the top corner window, one I hadn't seen before. Security camera, recording me. Marissa had set the scene. I was just the witness. I turned the ignition but didn't drive. Something was off. Something deeper. What else had they already done? You're not signing away a house. Marissa said softly, leaning closer. You're signing away the only family you have left. They planned this. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Not with her words bouncing around inside my skull like loose change in a dryer. You're not signing away a house. You're signing away the only family you have left. I knew a threat when I heard one. I left the lights off in my apartment, sat in the kitchen with my coat still on. There was a tightness in my chest like something had already been taken from me, and I just hadn't noticed yet. Some people survive on instinct. I survive on records. At 6:42 a.m., I opened the drawer beneath the sink and pulled out the file box. Mortgage statements, bank transfers, notarized receipts. Every piece of evidence proving I'd paid down $680,000 on a house. Alone. Quietly. I slid everything into a tote bag, locked it, and left. The wind slammed against me as I stepped out of my building. Something was off. A parked car across the street, black, idling. Windows tinted too dark for Rochester. I didn't stop walking. I'd been told once, when you start thinking you're being watched, it means you probably are. By noon, I was back at the hospital, pretending my hands weren't trembling while clocking in. I wasn't there to work. I needed access to the back office. Shelby, head of HR, owed me favors. I walked in with a folder and a fake calm smile. I need to verify the documents from my financial background check. I lied. There's an error on file. She barely looked up. Computer's open. Just log into your employee profile. I did. What I found made my spine ice over. My emergency contact had been changed. From Marcus to Marissa Parks. My mailing address was updated. To the house I no longer lived in. Someone was rewriting me, system by system. I backed out, printed a screen capture, slid it into my pocket. 5:16 p.m. I pulled into my apartment complex. The door was ajar, a single inch, enough to raise hell in my pulse. I drew closer. No signs of forced entry. The lock wasn't broken. The bolt wasn't scratched. It had been opened. With a key. Cinematic cut. Step. Step. My hand pushed the door slowly. No light inside. Only the amber hue of the hallway seeping in. A single drip from the kitchen sink. And on the floor, wet prints. Snow melt. Not mine. I stepped in. My laptop was warm. The closet was open. The file box? Empty. I turned. On the table was a single white envelope. Unmarked. I opened it with the corner of my nail. Inside, a folded printout of my bank account summary. Withdrawals. Flagged. Pending freeze. At the bottom, in handwriting I knew too well. You can't use what you don't own anymore. No signature. Just a symbol. A tiny X inside a circle. My hands trembled. My breath quickened. Every part of me wanted to scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone and texted Marcus. They froze my account. Marcus, you need to leave. Now. I think they were just here. Marcus, you don't understand. Your name was scrubbed from the property database 2 weeks ago. Cut to black. I stood in the center of my own apartment. Lights off. Files gone. Bank account locked. I was slipping, being peeled back from the world like a sticker that didn't quite belong. I grabbed my keys, the photo, and ran out the door. Down the stairwell. Out onto the street. No black car. But I felt it. The pressure of unseen eyes. I drove straight to Marcus's. He opened the door before I knocked. You're not safe here. What the hell is going on? He led me inside. Closed every curtain. They've been staging this for months. I thought you were paranoid. I was wrong. He pointed to a printout. The title, Quitclaim Deed Transfer, Pending. Filed under my name. Digitally signed. Time-stamped. I stared at it. I never saw this. Never signed it. Marcus looked at me grim. You did. 2 weeks ago. On camera. At Monroe credit union. I wasn't there. Then someone was. Someone wearing your face. He pulled up a drive, plugged in a flash, played a clip. Evelyn, or someone who looked exactly like me, in a gray coat, hair tucked back, head tilted down just enough to blur details, sitting across a banker, flipping open a folder, signing, smiling. I stumbled back from the screen. No, that's not me. Marcus stared at the paused frame. She knew how you move, how you dress, how you sit. A long pause. Whoever she is, Evelyn, she's already ahead of you. You think the house is all they want. Marcus asked. Evelyn turned slowly, her voice trembling. Then what the hell else did I sign away? The room felt smaller with the video paused. Still frame. My face, or almost my face, frozen in a half-smile across from a banker in a pressed suit. Fluorescent lights bleeding into the lens. Her hand, my hand, held a pen midair, right before the signature. Rewind it, I said. Marcus hesitated, then hit play again. Click. The voice was faint, caught in the room mic. You're confirming you are Evelyn Parks, and this is your full authorization, correct? The woman nodded. Yes. My stomach flipped. Voice soft clipped. Too rehearsed. Like someone who studied tapes. She watched me, I whispered. Months, probably, Marcus said. A pause. She learned how to be you better than you were being you. Cut scene. We printed frames. Zoomed. Enhanced. It wasn't just her posture. It was the coat, the nail color, the exact necklace I wore 2 months ago. The photo I lost in the laundry. She had it. Marcus dropped his head in his hands. This isn't just identity theft. It's full impersonation. Facial mimicry, behavioral. He looked at me. She has access to things. I nodded slowly, and someone gave them to her. Cinematic spike. My hands were still shaking when we got to the bank. Monroe Credit Union. Branch A7. I walked in under my real name. The teller smiled too quickly. Evelyn Parks. I froze. Yes. Her smile deepened. Oh, back again. Again. She printed a receipt before I said anything. Do you need to adjust your overdraft protection again, or? I leaned in. I've never been here before. Her smile slipped. No, sorry. My mistake. But she knew. Her eyes gave it away. And she was scared. I left without asking more. Back in the car, Marcus stared out the windshield. They know. What? This isn't just some grift. It's structured, precise. She's not working alone. The word burned in my chest. Conspiracy. By evening, I was digging through every drawer of my old apartment, looking for one thing, the trust folder. It wasn't where it used to be, but I found a backup key taped under the kitchen sink. A key I hadn't seen in years. It had a sticker on it, gold with faded red ink. My father's handwriting. Lake cabin. Twilight outside. I drove alone. Marcus said he'd meet me there, but I couldn't wait. Sometimes you don't wait for fire to come. You run into the smoke and find out who lit it. The lake cabin sat buried in fog. No lights. I stepped onto the old wood porch. Every board moaned like it remembered. Unlocked. I pushed the door open. Inside, quiet. Stale air. Dust. Firewood still stacked. Then I saw it. The box. Dad's black legal case. In the corner, half covered with an old quilt. I crossed fast. Flipped the latches. Inside, nothing. Just an envelope taped to the lid. She knows you're here. Cut to black. Heartbeat thundered. I turned. Back door open. But it had been locked. Wind? No. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Outside now. Leaves crunching. Far side of the trees. I grabbed the empty box. Ran. Back to the car. locked the doors. I hit the lights. Nothing but mist. No one. My phone buzzed. Marcus, you need to get out. There's been movement on your driver's license. Someone updated it 2 days ago with a new photo. My hands clenched the wheel. New photo. Yeah. Different address. New signature. DMV said you came in person. I swallowed. I didn't. I know. Another pause. Evelyn, they're building a version of you that's more legal than the real you. Cinematic twist. I opened the glove compartment. A folded piece of paper I hadn't seen before. One line typed. Originals fade. Copies last longer. I stared at the lake one last time. She doesn't want the house, I said aloud. Marcus's voice crackled through the line. What? She wants to be me, and erase the version that doesn't obey. I looked into the dark glass of the rearview mirror, and for a second, I swear I saw her eyes, behind mine. Snow hammered against the windshield as I drove, wipers scraping like they were sawing through bone. My pulse still hadn't come down from what I saw in the mirror at the lake cabin, her reflection blending with mine, as if my face wasn't fully my own anymore. I gripped the wheel tighter. People say identity is something you are, but tonight it felt like something someone else could take. Cut. I parked outside the county records office. Concrete building. Flickering sign. No warmth anywhere. Marcus was already waiting inside, pacing the lobby with a file tucked under his arm. You look like hell, he said. Someone else is wearing my life. He didn't argue. He pushed through the double doors, and we walked the long hallway lined with bulletin boards. Foreclosure reminders, tax notices, state audits. In a weird way, it comforted me. Paper trails never lied. Except when someone forged them. We reached a small cubicle where a clerk in a dull green cardigan sat like she hadn't moved in 12 years. Property documentation request, she asked flatly. Marcus nodded. Parks residence. Existing trust, amendments, sign-offs. Anything filed in the last year. She typed, keys clicking like tiny gunshots. Then her face changed, barely but enough. Oh, she whispered. She turned the screen away from us. What is it? I demanded. Her throat bobbed. Some files are sealed. Access restricted. Restricted by who? Another long pause. She leaned in, lowered her voice. Someone in your family submitted the order. Marcus's jaw locked. Her mother. The woman shook her head. No, her brother. My stomach flipped so violently it felt like a punch. Caleb, my baby brother, who couldn't even fill out a FAFSA form without me typing half of it. He sealed the trust? Print what you can, Marcus said. I'm not supposed to. You already looked, he snapped. You're in it now. People think courage is loud. Sometimes it's just a woman in a cardigan hitting print with shaking fingers. Papers spit out. I grabbed them before she second-guessed herself. Cut scene. We ducked into an empty conference room. Fluorescent lights buzzing like a nest of wasps. I skimmed the pages. Trust amendment. New beneficiary structure. Dated 4 days ago. Signature line. Edward R. Parks, my father. Except my father has been dead for 3 years. My vision narrowed to a pinhole. Marcus breathed out slowly. That's felony-level forgery. Mom filed this. He nodded, with someone helping. I flipped another page. There, my name. Crossed out. Replaced. In neat, unreadable handwriting. Someone stole my signature. Someone practiced it. A chill crawled up my spine. If they could fake my signature on paper, how far were they willing to go with the version of me walking around town? Cut. The building felt colder than outside. We stepped back through the lobby. Snow was falling harder now. Wind so sharp it felt personal. Marcus stopped mid-stride. You see that? See what? Headlights. A black SUV at the edge of the lot. Engine idling. No plates. I took one step forward. The SUV roared toward us. Move! Marcus shoved me sideways. Tires screamed across ice. Time slowed. The car whipped past, so close I felt the metal brush my coat. It vanished into the storm like it had been swallowed whole. I slid on the icy pavement, heart slamming against my ribs. Marcus pulled me up. They're not hiding anymore. Back inside his car, he locked the doors and handed me something. Found this in your tote bag. It was a USB drive. Not mine. Black. Unmarked. My breath went thin. Where did you? It must have been slipped in when we were at your apartment. Or the house. Or the cabin. He swallowed. Evelyn, plug it in. No way. We don't have a choice. He connected his laptop. Open the folder. 2 files. Video. And a TXT file named Keep Up. He clicked the video. Static. Then, Monroe Credit Union's lobby. The same footage we'd already seen. But this was different. This one wasn't the angle from the banker's cam. This angle was from directly behind her. The impersonator. Her hair swung into frame. Shoulder length. Dark. Same color as mine. She stepped back enough for us to see her profile. My jawline. My walk. My coat. She leaned into the camera like she knew it was there. Her lips curved. And she whispered, "She'll never see the difference." I recoiled. Marcus froze. This wasn't surveillance footage. This was a message. For me. Cut. The computer beeped. A second video auto-loaded. This one was inside a hospital hallway. My hospital. A woman in scrubs. Same height. Same build. Badge clipped to her pocket. Evelyn Parks, RN. Not a forgery. My real badge. One I thought I'd lost months ago. She walked like she belonged there. She talked to staff I knew. Nodded. Smiled. No one questioned her. Why would they? She was me. My lungs tightened. Marcus whispered, "There's a line I heard once. If a lie is patient enough, it becomes the truth." I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from shaking. This was an identity theft. It was replacement, not a financial scheme. A full rewrite. Outside, a car door slammed. We both jerked our heads up. Footsteps. Fast. Closing in. Marcus whispered, "Stay down." The footsteps paused right next to the car. A shadow crossed the driver's side window. We didn't breathe. Then, a soft tap on the glass. Knuckle to window. 3 slow knocks. Da, da, da. Marcus whispered, "Don't move." I didn't. Couldn't. The shadow lingered. Then walked away. Into the snow. Gone. We sat there for almost a minute before either of us exhaled. Finally, Marcus whispered, "Someone is orchestrating this. Someone with access. Someone who knows you better than you think." I stared at the USB. "Someone doesn't want to steal my life," I said. "They want to take my place." Marcus didn't argue. He didn't have to. I looked up at the snow-covered windshield, heart shaking in my chest, and whispered, "This isn't just about stealing a house. It's about erasing me." Snow pressed itself against the windows, a soft static hiss against glass. Inside the car, Marcus and I sat frozen. The USB sat between us, its black plastic a weight heavier than steel. I had watched the video. I had seen her, or what looked like me, walk through my own life. Someone had built a mirror image. Someone had practiced my manner, my walk, my face. Identity, Marcus whispered, can be forged, but memories, they stay. I didn't know if that was hope or a warning. We left the parking lot through a fog of exhaust and falling snow. I drove us in silence. The engine hummed. My hands went numb. I thought of the hospital, the patients, the life that was mine by right. Now it felt rented, as if any moment I might be evicted. That night I hunted. Apartment drawers, file cabinets, the box I kept locked under the sink. Anything Dad once labeled as Park's legal documents. All empty. No lockpicks. No signs of forced entry. Just emptiness and the cold echo of absence. Then I saw it. A key taped beneath the sink, overlooked. Tattered tape, dust gray. Dad's handwriting so faded it nearly bled. Lake cabin. I left again. The cabin stood dark, silent, almost waiting. My flashlight cut through the smoke of old logs and damp wood. I searched room by room. The stale smell of mothballs, of old leather, of secrets long buried. I found the box, Dad's legal case, tucked in the corner. Lid cracked open, empty, except for one sealed envelope stuck to the underside. On the front, a single line in bold typewriter font. She knows you're here. My breath caught. A heartbeat dropped. I smacked the envelope to the floor. Metal case clattered. I grabbed the case and ran. Outside, wind shredded my coat. Snow swallowed footprints. I drove fast. Traffic lights blurred into red halos. Every mirror showed someone else's eyes. Then my phone buzzed. Marcus, license change. New photo. New address. 2 days ago. I dropped the phone. Glass cracked. I pressed my palm to the wound that felt deeper than skin. They didn't want the house. They wanted me. The windshield wipers snapped across the glass. I blinked and saw it, a movement behind me. A flash of coat. A shape lost in white. Stopped. Gone. Too late. I slammed the brakes. The car fishtailed once. Then stopped. I sat, windows fogged, engine silent. The radio clicked. Snowstorm static filling the air. Trails outside. Fresh footprints. 4. Leading nowhere. The world turned slow. I touched the pocket where I hid the legal case. Solid. Real. Mine. They can take a home away. They can fake a name, a face, a deed. But they can't rewrite what's real until they shred the source. I fired up the engine. We drove straight to the only safe place left, Marcus's apartment. Curtains drawn. Doors locked. Lights low. This, I said, holding up the legal case, is the anchor. They can build copies as long as they hide the receipts. But receipts don't lie in court. Marcus nodded, swallowing. We get a lawyer. We go public. We start the fight back. I pulled a note from the case, typed blunt. Originals fade. Copies last longer. I looked out at the black street, snow falling like ash. I whispered, they think erasing me means killing the version they don't like. But I'm still here. Marcus pulled the laptop close and loaded a new document, complaint draft, list of facts, timestamps, digital copies, the forged deed, the video, the photo, the license change record, a weighty stack. Outside, I felt the cold pressing against windows, screens, hinges. The world had sharpened into danger. And I realized something. I was no longer hiding. I was going to fight. The phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. The screen flickered. Lights across the street died. Snow deepened. I closed my eyes. Let the storm wash over the windshield. They might think they replaced me, but I was coming back with truth. She doesn't want the house, I said aloud. She wants a world where I never existed. The lake was silent, dark. The surface held nothing but cold reflection. I parked behind the cabin in shadow. Wind rattled a dead branch overhead. My breath came out in white puffs. I stepped out. The snow crunched under my boots. I held the legal case, everything inside it. Originals. Proof. Truth. Marcus was next to me, flashlight in hand. He cast a narrow beam through the wood-slatted windows. Dust motes danced. Are you ready? He asked. I loaded the clip of the USB into his phone. The screen glowed. Orange light onto snow. Inside the cabin, the door creaked. I pushed it open slow but firm. The floorboards moaned. Old logs, stale air. The room smelled like secrets. On the table, the forged deed. The fake trust. A photograph. And a coat. My coat. Hanging on a chair as if someone had just left. I felt nausea. Everything ends tonight, I whispered. No sudden music. No dramatic thunder. Just cold. I flicked the flashlight. Light cut through the dark. There, in the corner, a figure. Cold smile. Marissa stepped forward. Her eyes held no warmth. Only certainty. So you found it, she said, slow, calm. I took a step. Not yet, she corrected. Because I changed it. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket. A second amendment. A second deed. Clean. Filed. Final. She smiled. Well done, Evelyn. You almost kept up. Heartbeat thundering. Marcus gasped behind me. I lifted the legal case, slammed it on the floor. Photos, documents spilled out. I stepped forward. This is live. Everything video. Sign doc. Metadata. Timestamps. I pulled up the USB on my phone, hit send to the lawyer, to a news outlet, to half the contacts on my phone. Lights on outside the cabin blinked blue and red. Footsteps crunched in the snow. Outside a hush. Then the howl of sirens. Marissa's eyes flicked to the window. Panic. Caleb appeared behind her, white-faced. No, he mouthed. Mom, please. But outside the glass, uniforms, badges, torches. We got you, Marcus said. She turned to me. Do you think this ends with a signature? She hissed. This ends with what you let me do. A gust of wind. Snow blasted through the cracked window. The coat, my coat, collapsed to the floor. A symbol of replacement. Marissa staggered. Handcuffs clicked. Her face twisted. Not in fear. In triumph. You can erase the evidence, she whispered, but you'll never erase the part of me that lives in you. I exhaled. Hard. Outside. Lights flashing red and blue. Snow swirling. I walked to the door. Stopped. I looked at the coat on the floor, pulled it close, and said softly, You stole my name, my life, but you couldn't steal the truth. Weeks later, I walked the empty floors of my house. New locks, fresh paint, silence. I sat by the window. Snow fell outside. I held the old legal case in my lap. In it, the original trust, Dad's final wishes, my receipts, proof. I closed it, because some things don't need to be shown anymore. Truth doesn't shout. It outlives desperation. I called Marcus. He answered, You home yet? I smiled. Yeah, I said. I'm home. I thought of words I almost said on night shifts. A wound doesn't always heal. Sometimes it reminds you you're alive. This house, this life, isn't just a building anymore. It's mine. And I'm not invisible. I'm seen. I'm present.